Hello and welcome back to another Flash video tutorial. To get started, I'm going to go ahead and create a new ActionScript 3.0 file. And this video is going to cover the line tool and the oval and PolyStar tool. And I'll show you how to get to these tools in just a second. We're going to start with the line tool. Now, the line tool, go ahead and pick a color real quick, lets me draw a line. So I can draw it at whatever angle I want. Click and drag, click and drag, click and drag. Go back to my selection tool, press delete, clear out the screen. So I have a line. Right now, my line is black because I've told it to be black. If I want to change the stroke color to red, I can create a red line. If you notice here that there is a fill color on the bottom left, there is no fill on the top right. Pretty much, lines don't have fills because they're not shapes. They only have strokes. So I can change this fill to whatever color I want it to be, and nothing's going to show up with the fill color for the line. All I have is my stroke color. So I can change the line to be transparent if I want, and you can see there's still something there. And I could even make my line have no stroke, but there's no point in creating a line with no stroke because then you're just creating nothing. And I'm resetting my alpha back to 100. Now, going over the options, very similar to the rectangle tool. We have stroke weight, so I can make my stroke, change this to black again, make my stroke really thick, you can see right there, or I can make it really small, which I guess is kind of the same. One's about the smallest it's ever going to get, but basically you change the size, use the stroke size. Other part is style, so if I want to dash the line, line is dashed. Can make a dotted line. That's kind of hard to see. If I zoom in, it's there. Because I have a very small line. I'm going to change that back up so you can see. Okay, so we have stroke color, stroke size, stroke style. Next thing I want to draw your attention to is cap. So cap, I'm going to bump up the stroke size to 10 and delete some stuff out so you can actually see what's going on. Go back to my line tool. Cap right here is currently set to round. So when I draw a shape, you can see that that's still not big enough. I'm going to draw a huge line. See the ends right here are rounded. That's because I have this set to round. If I set it to none, it's going to stop at the end of the line. So you can see, drawing my line out to here, my stroke ended right where I stopped drawing. Or I can have it be square, which it just goes on past where I let go. So you can see that circle that's saying where my line's ending. I'll let go. You can see now this is where I let go right here, but then it goes out further. So we have, for our cap, we have none, round, and square. So none, round, and square. Or, excuse me. Wow, I can't talk. None, square, round. None, round, and square. None and square are pretty much the same. Very small differences. Don't worry if you don't care about those two. Just know that round's available. That's the style you're going for. That's the style you don't want to be able to draw. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And the next tool we're going to go to is our oval tool. Now we have a rectangle tool, and if we left click on it, well, we're drawing rectangles. Let me change my stroke back down to normal size. So we have rectangles. But if I want an oval, I have to go ahead and click and hold on the rectangle tool. And I can tell there's stuff behind the rectangle tool because that little arrow you see underneath it, there's an arrow right here. So if I left click, hold, I get the oval tool, and now I'm working with ovals. The oval tool is very similar to the rectangle tool in that I have stroke color, fill color, stroke size, stroke style, and all this other stuff here. The thing that's different about the oval tool is that I have these oval options. So start angle, end angle, and inner radius. And to begin, I'm going to start off with start angle. So I'm going to set the start angle to, I'll leave it at 0. So everything's at 0, right? Holding shift to create a perfect circle, just like you would create a perfect square. You see I have a circle. But if I change start angle to, let's say, 90, I hold shift, click and drag, now you see I have this shape that kind of looks like Pac-Man. And he's over here waka waka munching on everything. But why did that happen? Well, I changed my start angle to 90. And if you imagine a circle as 360 degrees, so I'm going to start and flash, the angle or the degree starts at 0 and it goes to the right. So right here, starting at 0, it's to the right. Now I'm going to start counting clockwise. So this angle right here is 0. I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, blah, 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 all the way down to 90. And that would create a 90-degree angle, as you can see right here. We have 90 degrees. That's where I'm starting to draw my circle. So went from 0 to 90. Now I'm drawing the rest of my circle all the way to the full 360. So if I were to change this to 180, click, drag, hold shift, you can see now going from 0, I'm going to count to 180. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 90. Go all the way up to 180. Now I'm starting at 180, going the full 360 and ending there. So I started at 180, so counting 180, finish the circle. Now I only have half a circle. If I change this to 270, you can see here, counting out to 270, so I'm going 90, 180, 270, and now from 270 to 360, I only have this little piece left. So basically, if you want a circle with some chunks in it, you change the start angle. So let's say I change the start angle to 360. That should be the very end of my circle, right? And you'd think that I'd have nothing. I'm going to go ahead and draw it. You can see I have a perfect circle again. Well, when you do a full 360, so I will go from 0, and I'm counting out to 360, so 90, 180, 270, 360, I'm starting off where I began in the first place. So I'd be starting off at 0. And Flash considers a full 360 to be 0. It's just that you went around the circle one time, and now you're back where you started. So 360 pretty much works the same as 0. So very similar to the start angle, I have an end angle. So I'll go ahead and create an end angle of 90. You can see now I have this kind of chunk, which kind of looked like when we changed start angle to 90. So we have end angle as 90. We're starting at 0, and we're ending at 90. So we're going from 0 to 90 and stopping because we're starting at 0. So just to show you the difference between start angle and end angle, if I change this the start angle to 90, put the end angle to 0, you can see we have the rest of the circle because we're starting at 90, ending at 360 versus starting at 0 and ending at 90. So I'm going to go back and change this to 0 for a start angle. So we're only working with end angle now. I'm going to change end angle to 180. Oh, oops, I spelled 80. 180. Now I'm going to click and drag, hold shift. I have a half of a circle. What's happening here is I'm starting from the right, so 0, and I'm going all the way 180, and then I'm ending. So I change this to 270. Then you can see I'm starting at 0, going 90, 180, 270, and stopping. And same with our start angle. If I give it a 360 for an angle, then we're having a full circle. So the very next part is the inner radius. This is what I like to call the donut tool. So I'm going to go ahead and set inner radius to 50, and now I've got a donut. And what this does, it takes whatever percentage. So I passed in 50%, and it's going to create a shape inside of the oval, or sorry, it's going to cut out a hole inside of the oval that is exactly 50% of the radius. So we have 0 to however far out our radius is, it's taking 50% of that, and it's cutting it out in the middle. So if I were to change this to 25%, the hole in the middle is going to be smaller. And if I change this to like 100%, which doesn't even let me, it goes to 90 because if I had 100% inner radius, I wouldn't even have a circle. So click and drag, and you see now pretty much my entire circle is cut out. There is a little bit underneath these strokes on the outside, but you can't really see them. But just know that inner radius is a donut tool. So, moving on. Well, actually, you know, I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to make me a strawberry donut right here, just so I can stare at it until I can eat lunch. But going back to the oval tool, you can combine these properties. So let's say I want an inner radius of 50, and I have a start angle of 90. So now I'll have kind of starting to look like a ring, or someone was munching on my donut, and I'm a little upset because I'm very, very hungry and really terrible at making jokes. You can see now we can combine these properties. So if I start at 90, let's say I change end angle to 180, oops, 180, and I have my inner radius as 50, you get this weird piece. And what's happening here, let's imagine right here we have, let me actually draw this out. Let's imagine right here we have the center of our circle, right? Well, we're going out, start angle of 90. So we're not starting until 90. So 0 starts here, going around to 90, then we're starting our circle, and we're ending at 180. So we're at 90, go up to 180, bam, we're ending. We get this even smaller piece of a donut. And there's a hole in the middle because of our inner radius. And that's pretty much it for the oval tool. You can play around with these options if you don't quite follow along, but make sure you understand what's going on there. The next tool is the PolyStar tool. So remember, to get to that, I'm going to click on my, what was the rectangle tool. Now it says oval tool, but I'm going to click and just hold down the left mouse button, and then I can select PolyStar tool and let go. And let me get rid of these donuts because, man, oh, it's lunchtime. I'm so hungry. We have the PolyStar tool, and you can see we have fill and stroke, stroke size, stroke style, everything we've had before. I'm not going to go over that again because I think you get it. If I go ahead and draw on the stage, you see I have this 5-sided polygon. And if I hold shift, it starts to lock to certain angles. So if I want it to point straight up, I'm holding shift, clicking, dragging, bam. Now I have a polygon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. And that's nice and dandy, but let's say I wanted a triangle. Under the tool settings, I have something called options. So I'm going to click on options, and we have all these options. But I want you to pay attention right now. We're working with a polygon and number of sides. So if I want a triangle, triangle has 3 sides. I change my number of sides to 3, click OK, drag, and now I've got a triangle. Let's say I want a stop sign, right? I want to stop making this video. You want to stop watching this video. But too bad, we're almost done. So I'm going to click and drag. We got something like a stop sign. It's a little bit crooked, but whatever. We got a stop sign. We have 8 sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's how the polygon part of this works. The other part you see is star point size. That doesn't apply to a polygon because polygons aren't a star. Yeah, this is polygon, not star. So there's your hint. Star point size doesn't do anything for polygons. This looks exactly the same as the first one I drew. But if I go back under options, remember this tool is called the PolyStar tool. So we have polygons and we have stars. So I click on style, I can change it to star, and now I can create stars. I'm going to go ahead and change my properties back to what they were originally and click OK. And now you see I have a star. So click, drag, let go. If you want it to snap to an angle, you can hold shift while you're selecting. But we want real world simulations here, so I'm going to go with yellow stars as they make me happy, or golden stars even if you want to imagine it as that. But I'm going to go under options, and I'm going to just play around with some of these properties. So number of sides, when talking about stars, talks about the number of points. So right now, I left it as 5. You can see I have a 5-pointed star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's say I wanted a, let's say 6-pointed star, right? Go ahead, click OK. Now you see my star has 6 points. But maybe I don't like how pointy this star is. I want something that's a little less pointy. I'm going to go back under options, and I'm going to go ahead and change my star point size. If I change this to 0, and I don't even think it lets me change it to 0, I'm going to go ahead and click OK really quick just to make sure I'm not lying. Okay, I did set it to 0, and now I'm going to click and drag, and you can see my star is way more pointy than it was before. So pretty much star point size, the lower the value is, the pointier your star is. So you can change this between 0 and 1. I'm changing it to 1 to show you. So 1, I get this fat star. It's about to explode. It ate too many of my donuts earlier. Yeah, I know. I found out who ate my donuts. This star here. And I don't like them anymore, so I'm going to delete them. But anyway, we have a star. We can change the number of sides on the star. We can change how pointy the star is. And that's pretty much it for the star. So we have our line tool. So I can click and drag, click and drag. And if I hold shift, actually, hold on, let me delete all this. There's way too much on the screen right now. Go back to my line tool. If I click and drag, I can draw pretty much any angle I want. But let's say I want a perfect 45-degree angle. And click, drag, and hold shift. And you can see now it's starting to snap to every 45 degrees. So I'm going around in a circle, and it's only jumping when it hits 45. If I let go of shift, I can draw any angle I want. So that's the line tool. Remember, we have our options up here. We have the oval tool. Hold shift when you drag if you want a circle. We have our start angle, end angle. So this is how we make Pac-Man. We have inner radius, which allows us to make donuts. And left click and hold to get to our PolyStar tool. And remember, PolyStar, we can create stars, and we can change the number of points on them and how pointy our stars are. And then we can create polygons and change the number of sides of our polygons. So that sums up those three tools. Go ahead and play around with them. Make sure you understand how they work, because this is going to be way easier to use when you're trying to draw things instead of trying to draw them by hand, at least if you're not that good of an artist. So if you're good with drawing with a mouse, there is another option for you, but for now I recommend knowing how to work these things. So that's about it.